Welcome back to the Quantum Guide Show. Today, in episode 180, I'm very happy to bring on my new guest, Samuel Chong. Samuel is a certified court interpreter and Chinese translator, a former instructor for the Court Interpreters Program at the University of California, Los Angeles Extension Program. He specializes in translating legal and financial documents, as well as interpreting as a certified court interpreter for patent and complex litigation cases involving companies located in the US, Japan, Taiwan, and mainland China. Samuel visited Michael Desmarquet, the author of Thiaoouba Prophecy, in 2016 and 2018, and he was instrumental in arranging for the Chinese publication of Desmarquet's book, which has been a bestseller in both China and Taiwan, a rare phenomenon. He also translated the book called 334% Lies, The Revelation of H.M.V. Stull, an autobiography of the High Master of the chair of a secret society that was started in Germany. Today, he dedicates his efforts in promoting the messages in these books in order to give people hope and to help promote a better world through his scholarship at www.chinasona.org/scholarship.html. To find out more about Samuel Chong and his important work, the links are featured below in the description. Thank you for subscribing. Leave me a comment and please do smash that like button. Today we will discuss the Thiaoouba Prophecy and the profound impact it has on our understanding of reality. Samuel, welcome to the Quantum Guide Show.
Thanks, Karen.
So I'm very excited to hear more about your translations and the work that you've been doing. So maybe you want to start off by telling us how you met the authors and how you got started in your translating and finding out more about these high concepts to help humanity.
Yes, I first learned about the book in 2014 when I was searching on Amazon looking for a book written by ET contactees. Because in my subconscious mind, I believe that if the ETs have advanced civilization and can come and visit us, they must have advanced knowledge. And we can actually just take the shortcut and learn from them, learn about the mysteries of the paranormal, and also to follow their advice how to live a better life on Earth. And so we can just have a better future. So that's my initial thought. I checked the book out, and the book had a lot of interesting and fascinating topics that really made me couldn't put the book down because it actually solved all the questions, answered all the questions that I had in my in the past, like who built the Great Pyramid, why, and why there are so many people who just suddenly vanish in the Bermuda Triangle, and also in the national parks in the U.S. and Canada, and also about the dangers, the true dangers on Earth, being number one, money, number two, politicians, number three, journalists and drugs, number four, religions. And more importantly, it talks about reincarnation and also the meaning of life, why we live on Earth and why we have so many challenges that we all face, and how to respond to the challenges, and also what do we get from each lifetime here on Earth. So these are all interesting questions. But more interestingly, it also talks about religions. I was interested in the Bible, the stories about Moses, also the stories about Jesus and Christ. And this book actually explains a lot of the things that I was able to verify by doing my independent research. For example, the book talks about Jesus going to India, and also
Mhm.
there's a tomb of Jesus in Japan that people can still visit. So this is a very interesting book that people can look up the details and verify. I was fascinated by the content, but in the postscript, it says there are far more incredible things that the author, Michel de Marquet, wasn't allowed to write in the book. I was very curious, so I was determined to find out more that he knew but couldn't write in the book. So I tracked him down, and I found that he was living in Vietnam at that time. There's a photo that a tourist took of the bungalow that he was living at that time, and I printed the photo out. I flew to Vietnam to that island and showed that picture that I printed out to a taxi driver, and asking the taxi driver to take me there. And the taxi driver, after the second try, found exactly where Michel de Marquet was living at that time. So there, I found the author, and we had an interesting exchange. And yeah, so there I'm here. Yes.
Wow, that's fantastic. So you were really, really motivated to go and then you found him, and then I'm assuming then after that he agreed to let you do the translating into other languages. Um, Now I want to go back a little bit. You mentioned a list of things that are holding us back. And in there, it was several things that you listed. One of them actually was religion. And I was wondering if you could go back into that list of the things that are holding humanity back and tell us again, but maybe we could have a little bit of discussion on each point because I actually agree with you 100%.
Yeah, so number one, the top on the top of the list is money, because
Money.
everything, yes. If you look at the world, everything revolves around money. The pharmaceutical companies, the energy companies, even the education companies, they all want to gain more and more profit. For example,
Mhm.
if there's a very safe and effective but inexpensive way of treating a certain disease, such as heart disease or cancer, or maybe
Mhm.
diabetes, um, the pharmaceutical companies wouldn't be encouraged by their shareholders to publicize such method, because otherwise they would cure the disease. Then
Yep.
it would be just one time profit. They wouldn't be able to kind of gain kind of additional profit, or kind of residual profit by having the patients to really take their drugs on monthly or daily basis. So this is how things work here. There are
Mhm.
safe and effective methods to treat certain diseases that's mentioned by Anthony William, the medical medium, or other people as well. Traditional
Mhm.
methods, the Chinese medicine or acupuncture, or kind of even massage therapy or Reiki therapy. But those are kind of suppressed by the mainstream conventional medical communities in the US, and also elsewhere in the Western world. So that's for the pharmaceutical and medical industry. For the energy industry, um, if you do some research, you're going to know there's a person in the US called Stanley Meyer who
Mhm.
invented a water based vehicle,
Yes.
a car that ran on water. But he, for some reason, mysteriously died before he was able to commercialize such vehicle. In fact, there are similar stories in which inventors were able to invent things that could be using like renewable energy, such as water, to have vehicles to run on such renewable energies, but they were not able to commercialize such inventions. Um, and
Oh,
also,
I agree. I agree 100%. You know, the what we think of as a medical or health industry, those are not really very good words to describe it. They are a disease management system. They are a symptom management symptom, but they a system, but they never want to find out what is causing your problem. So when you want to find out what's causing your problem, you can just stop doing that and get better. The body will heal. I agree. And so what's also interesting, I'm not going to talk too much about it, but I have had extraterrestrial adventures and they do not use money. Nobody uses money. It's an illusion, and it just keeps certain people powerful. And there are other ways of doing things. So I would agree with you. Number one, top is money, because that's what fuels all the other problems.
Yes, and this book gives us specific, verifiable information on how we can help ourselves. For example, when Michel Desmarquet entered into their spacecraft, they used yellow light and blue light to disinfect him. It turns out that the Harvard Medical School has a research paper proving that certain wavelengths of blue light have antibacterial, antiviral effects. So if you have
Mm-hmm.
a skin infection or if you have other bacterial viral infections, you can just use blue light instead of taking antibiotics.
Mm-hmm.
And this book has so many interesting tips that people, or the readers, can borrow from or can
Mm-hmm.
benefit themselves. So this book has been really, really beneficial. So that's number one, money. Number two is politicians. That's the real
Mm.
dangers on earth. So as we all know, the politicians, they only focus on their re-elections or their fame or money and power. They don't really take the interests of the public to their utmost concern. So they just want to get more fame and power. So the real way to the best way to find the politicians that focus on the interests of the people is to cut their salaries. This way, the people who are really focused on helping people are going to run for the elections, and you're
Mm-hmm.
easily going to pick those people. And this is just one way that the book talks about in getting better politicians elected. But the book
Mm-hmm.
also mentioned about a system in which we can elect capable politicians. And I would suggest people to read the book to find more details, because the book covers a vast amount of information, practical information that deserves special attention.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Very good. Now, you also mentioned religion, which is very interesting. I had tried several different religions, but over time, I just started seeing them as systems of control that would hold me back. And it wasn't until I cut all my ties from all the different religions that I started to see things more clearly. Like, for instance, all the different religions pretty much, at least most of them, tell you to love other people as you love yourself, but they don't teach you how to love yourself. So if you don't know how to love yourself, how are you supposed to love other people? We don't even have, most of us, at least in the area where I grew up, people are not even really grown up. They don't even understand what love means. They think it's romance, and it's not. It's so much more than that. I'm wondering if you want to speak a little bit to how religion holds humanity back.
Yes, religion is actually a curse on earth, because the religious leaders or the church always try to distort the original meanings of the ancient scriptures. And religion is very different from spirituality. And we should be spiritual, but we should not follow a religious leader or
Mm-hmm.
religion, because religion is just like a agent or intermediary agency. When we can communicate to God or with God directly, we don't need an intermediary agency to represent us. And when God created every one of us, it inserted a tiny portion of itself to each of our astral bodies. And we can actually communicate to God through prayers, through meditation, or just have a good night of sleep. We are part of God, and God is part of us. We really don't need the Catholic or specific religious leader to represent us and to tell us what we need to do, because as the Bible says, the kingdom of God is within you. When you
Mhm.
have challenges, when you have difficulties that you need help, you can just ask yourself, look inside for answers. And I think that's the best way to solve life challenges and difficulties. And this book, Thiaoouba Prophecy, is very interesting because it talks about religion and specifically the Christian religion at length. It talks about how Moses parted led the Hebrews out of Egypt, and who parted the sea for Moses, and who gave the Hebrews mannas to eat, and what mannas are. And also it talks about how Jesus was able to be born from Virgin Mary, and how he was able to go to India and actually died in Japan. And who is the other person, the Christ, who performed miracles after he began preaching? And it talks about the why Christ resurrected um, 3 days after he died on the cross, and he was just to show people at that time that there's life after death and there's
Mhm.
reincarnation. But for
Mhm.
some reason, the concept of reincarnation was removed by the Catholic Church Council meetings. Um,
Mhm.
yeah, so there are specific information in the book that people can verify and also to learn more.
Mhm. Mhm. Yep. Very, very interesting. And I totally agree. And and it's interesting too how people can go to one church and they teach a certain thing, and you go to the church across the street and they teach other things. And, and they all claim they are the only one that accesses the true God. You have to do it through them. And there's thousands of Christian religions, there are thousands of Muslim religions. There are so many religions, and people of course, for quite a few of them, they pay money. That takes us back to the number one problem. And people are not taught that they can go direct. Why would I need to go somewhere else when I have direct? And what's interesting about the direct approach is I know nobody has to tell me do not steal. I know that. I would never do that. Because if I love myself and I love other people, I would never want to steal from them. I would never want to hurt them. I would never want to lie to them. Like, we don't need all those rules once we get the concept of love, and how, love is, I think, the way, I think it's the frequency of the universe. But anyway, I don't mean to ramble on too much. I wanted to just ask you one question from someone in the chat. Um, who wants to know if you know from the book or from the translation or personal experience, if you have any thoughts about aliens, he's meaning space aliens. Do they interact with the elites and the governments of the world like the USA? And do you believe that they work hand in hand, or do they not work with the world leaders? What's your take on that, Samuel?
Most of the world leaders are just members of the second curse on earth, which is politicians. So they
Uh-huh.
don't really focus on the interests of the people. Um, the ETs, at least the friendly ETs, from time to time help us by influencing the decisions of the politicians. But they can do that to a certain extent. They also have to respect the free will of the politicians. So when it is absolutely necessary, they have to intervene, and they do intervene. For example, they prevented, according to this book, Thiaoouba Prophecy, they prevented Germany from being the first country to develop the atomic bomb during World War II. In that
Mm-hmm.
sense, they indirectly assist the U.S. government at that time by ending the war earlier than if Germany developed the atomic bomb. And they believed that the U.S. government at that time was more sincere in ensuring the individual liberties of the of,
Mm-hmm.
of the people. On the other hand, the ETs also believe that the power lies in the hands of the people, because
Mm-hmm.
the collective consciousness is going to change everything. It's the most powerful thing that we can imagine. If you look at history, all great revolutions come from the mass, all come from the bottom up approach. It never comes from top down approach. So
Mhm,
so that's a historical indication and proof. So they're suggesting that we should follow the teachings of Christ and be spiritual and be united, having this kind of collective action through nonviolent resistance to rise up against tyranny in the world so that we
mhm,
can change the future for the better. So they're encouraging us to have knowledge and to realize the importance of spiritual awakening and spiritual development, and the importance of acting together collectively through
mhm,
nonviolent resistance. Just
mhm.
like what Gandhi did in India and what Dr. Martin Luther King preached in the US in a few decades ago. And this is actually very important, and would strongly suggest people to get a book and read the book to get more information about it.
Wonderful. Yeah, I'm noticing by the comments and the live chat, the people are very much appreciating what you're saying. And for those of you who joined us a little bit later, please do check out the links in the description below, because we have where you can find this amazing book and where you can get your own copy and read the information for yourself and help you to have a better life. So, I wanted to ask you, Samuel, it is my opinion or understanding that the powerful people on earth that do not have our best interests at heart, the only reason they have that power is because we give them that power. And when we turn our attention away from them and stop giving them their power, they have no power. They have nothing. They do not have intelligence. They do not have creativity. They do not have compassion or empathy. They have nothing for us. And suddenly it's like they're naked. They have nothing. And so if we turn our attention onto what we want, what we love, what's beautiful, that's peaceful, all the, good things. Practice being mild and patient with each other and start to do those things. Those things will grow in power. Do you think this could be possible, Samuel?
Yes, this is definitely possible. If we have the knowledge, if we just follow what you just mentioned, and also the teachings of Christ, then we can be very, very powerful. Remember, the elite or the financiers, they rely on our slave labor to profit themselves. If we act together, if we have a general strike and stop working, we would lose very little, but they would lose humongously because they would lose millions or billions of profit if no one starts working for them, or no one works for them. And
Mhm.
I think that's the power of the people that we need to realize. And actually, this book gives a very interesting example of what happened on a different planet, in which that planet had a dictatorship government. It only took it only took four people who protested in front of the palace of the government to change the entire country to a democratic government form, and more spiritual government, and in which people just were connected and helping each other. And what happened was that after the four people began protesting, the soldiers and the guards of the government killed the four people. A few months later, and everyone learned what happened, and woke up and began to act together. So everyone joined force: the doctors, the lawyers, the politicians, and also in the lower level politicians, and also the soldiers, like the police, also joined force. And the entire country had a meltdown. So everyone stopped working. They had a strike, and then the dictatorship government, had to listen to the voice of the people.
Mhm.
So everything changed for the better. So it's kind of suggesting that we can do the same if people just have the knowledge and the will to have concerted actions through nonviolent resistance.
Yes, I agree. So it seems to me the process is it's like originally we were asleep, and then as individuals we start to wake up and we go, whoa, wait a minute, this world is not what we were told it was, through the education system. It's all different parts of the same, what I would call diseased model, and the money system and the power structure. And then we start to see things really differently. We start rubbing our eyes. A lot of the terrible things that have happened in the world in the last 10 years has been the best thing that could happen for waking people up. So first they wake up, and then at first they're kind of upset and, their lives are shaking up. Then they start to connect. We start to connect with each other. We start to find other people who believe the same thing or seeing the same thing. Then we get stronger. Then we stop believing in those systems and giving them our power, taking that back. I think another important part of that is people start to take better care of their health. So they start looking at all the products that are sold at the grocery store and realizing that it's not good for us. Like, it's toxic, it's poisonous. And there's very little in the grocery store that's actual real food. We start eating real food. We start realizing we need more sleep. We start getting outside in the fresh air, exercise. I'm wondering if what your thought is on that, because to me, it seems to be that is part of self-love, to take good care of ourselves. Then we don't need those other systems of so-called care. And I can think more rationally. I can think better. Everything I want to do gets easier. And I think that that is also sort of part of the process. I'm wondering what your thoughts are, Samuel.
I totally agree with you. We should take better care of ourselves by having the knowledge of
Mm-hmm.
true health. And I think the best food is what we grow ourselves, because if we grow the foods organically, we are going to eat foods that have better energies. There are
Yes.
studies done by scientists in the UK and US by photographing the organically grown foods using current photography.
Yes.
Um, the organic foods show stronger energy fields or more powerful energies than the foods that grown using fertilizers or chemical
Mm-hmm.
fertilizers. So the best foods are the foods that you grow on your own, and then the next best thing would be just to buy organic food. And also, I think it's important to have the knowledge how to be healthy, and I think this book, Thiaoouba Prophecy, gives a lot of tips on how you can live a healthy life. For example, it talks about the importance of colors. So color therapy or chromotherapy was really popular in the US in the 1920s. And they were able to treat different diseases using different colors of lights. But unfortunately, after the discovery or the commercialization of antibiotics, the FDA of the US cracked down on the use or the advertisements of color therapy. So people gradually just forgot how important it is. It turns out that if you still search on a lot of the authentic or reliable study databases, you're going to find that different colors have different therapeutic effects. For
Yep.
example, the color green has effects on migraines or headaches. And the study was so successful that the participants wanted to get a green light or green lamp for free after the study because they're so helpful to alleviating their migraine or headache issues of headaches. And also similarly, the color red gives people energy, and it's been proven by scientific researches. But because pharmaceutical companies are not able to profit from such inventions or discoveries, because the different colors of lights are very easy to produce and they cannot patent those. So they don't really emphasize the importance of color therapy anymore.
Mm-hmm.
but you can do that on your own if you have the knowledge. Besides the color blue being kind of antibacterial, antiviral, you can also learn that the color yellow has similar effects of being antibacterial, because you see a lot of the cosmetic therapists use yellow color to have better effect on the wrinkles or the facial cosmetics. So you can do a lot of research on this and to find out what's helpful to you.
Yeah, it's interesting for me. I don't, and this is just my own personal choice. I'm not trying to give medical advice to anybody out there. But for me, I have not had good success going to see the doctor in the mainstream medical. But I love different kinds of energy medicine. So you've mentioned color therapy. That has to do with frequencies and sound. There's ways that we can heal ourselves with sound and listening to binaural beats and different kinds of solfeggio frequencies. That again is frequencies. We get frequencies from sunshine and fresh air. We get frequencies from, there's so many ways. Essential oils have frequencies. All kinds of things have frequencies, and they don't do any harm. I mean, at the worst case scenario, they may not be as effective. We might want to try something different, but they do no harm. And I think that is really important. And so I'm really glad that that is also brought out in the book. Now, I want to take a short 2-minute break, Samuel, for me to play a promotion video. It's only 2 minutes long. But when we come back, I want to talk to you a little bit about the author, how he got this information. Did he have direct contact with extraterrestrials? Or how did this information that's in the book, how did that come to be? And we're going to talk about that as soon as we come back. So we're just going to take a quick 2-minute break, and then we'll be right back.
Great.
Hi guys, break time for a short message. YouTube will not monetize me, so if you enjoy my content and want to support my efforts, help me to cover my expenses by visiting my shop to buy yourself a beautiful orgone generator. Zendome's Orgonite are my unique brand, and they are ethically sourced, handmade, and double charged for maximum effect. They are only available through my website, www.karenholtonhealthcoach.com. Many people are finding comfort with Zendome's orgone generators, commonly called Orgonite. They are a simple compound which balance ambient energy by converting negative energy and EMF into positive healing energy with many easily confirmed health benefits. They are a simple compound with alchemic and energetic properties. These devices function as self-driven, continuously operating, highly efficient, negative to positive energy transmutation factories. They help diminish the harmful effects of electromagnetic frequency radiation by attracting and converting negative energies, retuning them into new and more healthful sound and light wave patterns. And they help to purify the atmosphere and accelerate plant growth. They also help stimulate positive mood and are a natural remedy for poor sleep patterns. When Orgonite is within range of any corded or wireless electronic device, it will efficiently and continuously transform that energy into orgone as it is being transmitted. This essentially creates orgone energy transmitters out of any and all emitters of harmful negative energy. You can use these devices for focusing the mind, healing, meditation, and for spiritual growth. Zendome's Orgonite are my unique brand of orgone generators, and they are only available through my website. Don't be fooled by imitations. Check out my website to see my latest selection at www.karenholtonhealthcoach.com. That's KarenHolton healthcoach.com. Check them out today. Now, let's get back to the show. Welcome back, everybody. So, as I mentioned before the short break, Samuel, how did the author get this information?
Well, the author had an experience or encounter with the ETs who took him to their planet for 9 days and then came back. So he had a close encounter and interactions with the advanced ETs, and it happened actually in 1987 when he was sleeping in the middle of the night, but he suddenly woke up for no reason, and he wrote a note to his wife saying that I will be gone for 10 days or so, and there's absolutely no need to worry about me. And then he walked outside of his house, and then he was lifted up to the mid of the air where he saw this gigantic, beautiful, angelic looking ET, blonde hair and very tall and very beautiful, who spoke to him and indicating that he was going to take a journey to their planet, and then there he did, and he saw a lot of the different things on their planet, and he was told about the history of Earth and where we all came from, the history of mankind, and who built the Great Pyramid for what purposes, and why people disappear in the national parks in the U.S. and Canada. And also, he was told about the human energy field, the auras, and how it's important to focus more on the human energy field than our physical body, because the energy field kind of affects the physical body. In addition, he was told about the reincarnation, and they actually led him to his past lives. He saw who he was uh, during his past 80 past lives, and he was told that the meaning of life is just to learn spiritual lessons through responding to the challenges that he faces in each lifetime. For example, before he was a German miner and who accidentally killed his wife. And also in one of his past lives, he was a beggar in Africa a few times. And also he was a goldsmith in Japan, a water carrier in India, and also like a queen on a different planet, ruling like a third of the entire planet. And he was like a ascetic or mystic in the mountains, or hermit in the mountains, helping a lot of people. So he was like having a lot of interesting lives in his past lives, and he was told that our physical body is just a tool for us to use to learn spiritual lessons. And so this is why we should focus on more on the spiritual aspects of our lives, and not to be so dwelled on the materialistic aspects, such as earning more money and getting more power. And we should be more compassionate, more loving to each
I would agree 100%. That's really, really interesting. So, yeah, so I notice another thing that seems to be a problem is distractions. People are so distracted. Now, we already talked about politics and religion and money and, quite a few things. People are very distracted. Even me, I have to work at not being so distracted. And I'll give you an example is I have a cell phone. Well, a cell phone is not just to communicate now, it's all the social media, all the advertising, it's like a computer in this small little device. And it can take time away from my day. I have to actually put my phone physically away from me where I can't hear it and I can't hear the notifications going ping, ping, calling to me, and discipline myself to look at it maybe 4 times a day. But if I just start going to it all the time, I can lose hours just flipping through nonsense. But it isn't just that. I'm just using that as an example of one of the things that, that I have to be aware of. But there seems to be an abundance of information. Not all of it's good information, not all of it's helpful. In fact, most of it is not. But boy, there seems to be a system that digs into our psychology, knows our vulnerabilities, ways that we get addicted. And I think you also mentioned addictions as being another problem with humans. I wonder if you want to speak to any of that, Samuel.
Yes, that's the number three true danger on Earth: journalists and drugs. So I was addicted to the negative news because negative news sells. But
Mhm,
this book talks about the importance of good news that
mhm,
improves our psyche. And I would suggest people to look the Good News Network, and that only publishes good news that helps people to have a better mood. And also addiction happens to a lot of people uh, for one reason or another, because some people are addicted to drugs,
mhm,
hallucinogenic drugs. And actually, this book emphasizes the importance of not being addicted or using hallucinogenic drugs, because those drugs affect negatively our astral body or the
mhm,
human energy fields.
mhm,
And a lot of people in the US say, oh, they're legalizing cannabis or marijuana. And but I kind of verify the information of the book by asking people who can see the colors of auras to compare the auras of people who use cannabis or hallucinogenic drugs versus people who don't. It
mhm,
turns out that they say, the aura readers say that people who use hallucinogenic drugs or cannabis, their aura colors are very ugly. So they don't
mhm,
look very nice, or they don't look very colorful. But people who don't use hallucinogenic drugs, their auras are beautiful.
mhm,
And remember, auras are like a representation of our human energy field, and
mhm,
the energy fields affects our physical body. So I know that because people who can read auras, such as Barbara Brennan or Rosalind Berry, they say that the colors of the auras can manifest uh, symptoms of diseases before the physical symptoms occur. So,
mhm,
for example, if they see like a grayish color in the liver area, so sooner or later, maybe like 3 months later, the physical illness of the liver would occur and be detected using modern technologies.
mhm,
So this is a very useful and interesting tool to predict what's going to happen to a person's physical body.
mhm.
So this is why I value a lot people who can see auras, because they can foretell what's going to happen to a person.
Yeah, it's very useful for diagnosis for sure. I wanted to speak a little bit to the drug thing. I, at one point, used cannabis as medicine for pain control. And I noticed that I didn't dream dreams at night when I was using it. And I ended up changing my diet, what I ate, and then I no longer needed to use it for pain because the pain was so greatly reduced. And I actually stopped using it. And it was when I stopped using it that I started not only having very vivid dreams, but that's when I started having contact, what I call transdimensional contact with other realms and other beings. And it's my belief that, like, I don't judge anybody for whatever they use for whatever reason. But for me, anything that I used cannabis or other drugs to achieve, I've been able to achieve a higher level of that same phenomenon without it. And it's really interesting. So first I thought, well, I'll just stop using it for 3 months. and see how I do. And I just felt great. And I thought, well, I just don't need it, right? So then I went another 3 months, and then after that, it was years, and I just didn't need it. So um, um, I'm not saying that everybody should quit right now, because it all depends. Everyone has to make their own choices for their own life. But for me, it made a big difference in my spirituality when I quit. And you would think it would be the opposite, because when you're using cannabis, you think it gets you more spiritual, but actually I have more spiritual, I would say a higher quality of spirituality without it. So, so anyway, I just wanted to share my true life experience with it.
Yes, it's very interesting that you mentioned about dreams. Dreams are important because they are a form of communication to your higher self. Because in dreams we can connect to our higher self. So sometimes there's a French saying called night brings counsel. So when you have life challenges, when you have difficulties, it might be good to have a good night of sleep, because when you are looking for answers, if the answers are good for your spiritual development, they're going to be given to you through your dreams or one way or another. So dreams are important in our spiritual development, and we should sometimes follow the guidance of the dreams. And also for those who are still using cannabis, don't take my word for it. Read the book Thiaoouba Prophecy, and read why it says that the hallucinogenic drugs are harmful to our astral body. And also verify the information by talking to the aura readers or people who can see the colors of auras.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a very interesting. A lot of people are, now that they're legalizing all these things, people are seeing them as not having any harm. But I think everything can have a benefit and also a harm, depending on what we're using it for, how much we're using it, our own personal physiology. So that's very interesting that the book gets into that. Now, we still have a few minutes left, Samuel, but I wanted to give you a chance to just share whatever else you want to share. You want to take important parts from the book that you want my audience to know about, or give them more reasons why they would like to or should maybe buy the book and read it for themselves. I'm wondering if you want to share any more information or outside of the questions I've asked you specifically.
Yes, I mean, I actually majored in economics when I was a student in college. I went to UC Berkeley, and I read all the books written by the investment masters, like books about Warren Buffett, books written by Ray Dalio. But this book, Thiaoouba Prophecy, has the best return because it really solves the mysteries of the paranormal. It gives the meaning of life a very profound explanation. And it also gives a lot of practical tips for the readers to really benefit themselves when they encounter challenges or difficulties in their lives. So I think it's very important to read the book. I'll just give you some of the information in the book. For example, it talks about the Great Pyramid of Egypt. It was actually built as a tool to capture cosmic and terrestrial energy, so that the users of the Great Pyramid could concentrate or meditate in the king's chamber and to project energies through the top of the pyramid and to communicate with people in different planets or in other worlds. It was actually built about 17,000 years ago by a great learned person from Atlantis called Thoth, using anti-gravitational technologies and supersonic vibratory systems to cut the huge stones in a very precise manner. Because he had the knowledge, he was able to align the stones perfectly in a manner that it could project such energies to the right locations.
Mhm.
And this is how they built the statues on Easter Island as well, using the same technologies. And actually, the statues on Easter Island was actually part of a continent that existed in the Pacific Ocean that sunk into the ocean about 14,500 years ago. And the name
Mhm.
of the continent was called Lemuria or Mu.
Mhm.
Um, and the book goes into detail on how people lived on the continent of Mu or Lemuria, in which there was no money, and people just took whatever they needed from the marketplace. No one took advantage of each other because people were highly spiritual, and they had great technologies. So they were able to build a pyramid that's 3 times as large as the Great Pyramid of Egypt, and so the book also goes into detail on how they were involved in our ancient past, like the ancient civilizations, but also in modern times as well. It not only talks about how they distracted the two cities, Sodom and Gomorrah. He also talks about how they were helping us indirectly through different means, such as having Michel Marquet to write a book, Thiaoouba Prophecy. The reason they don't intervene directly is that one thing is that the time isn't right yet, and the other is that they want us to really help ourselves, because if they are to give the direct help, it would be comparable to a parent giving the solutions of an answer of a mathematical problem to the son, and
Yeah.
the son wouldn't be able to learn as much if the son knows the answers directly.
Mhm.
So we have to go through the process, the learning process, in order to learn or to develop our spirituality. Um, and the book also goes into detail on how we should act together, and also how we should help each other and to be compassionate to each other. And I think it's a great book that can benefit a lot of the audience.
Yeah, it sounds fantastic. It's really sounds great. So for those who have joined us late, the links are below in the description on where you can order the book for yourself, and hopefully you can read it and benefit your life. I think it's really, really important. And I'm wondering, Samuel, would you like to spend a few minutes telling people where they can find you or the work you're doing or what you've got happening that you want to share with the audience? This is
Yes.
also going to go out on all the audio podcasts, so you might want to just say, your website or where people can reach you, so that those who are listening while they're driving in their car can just, take in that information.
Yeah, they can find me on Facebook by searching my name, Samuel Chong. Chong is my last name. And they can find my website at chinasona.org. That's CHINASONA.org. They can also find my scholarship. So anyone who reads the book and writes about it can apply for the scholarship. It's a 1,000 US dollar scholarship, awards that awards to a person like each year who writes about the book. Anyone can apply, and I use my own money for it, and just to encourage people to have the knowledge, so that in the future we can act together, have more people to participate in our spiritual revolution.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful. Well, I sure appreciate you very much for being on the show today. Thank you for taking the time to share this information with us. I think it's very valuable and very important information. I also want to thank the listeners and the viewers for joining us today, and even those of you who catch us on the replay. And the show will be pretty much everywhere: Odyssey, Rumble, YouTube, Facebook, um, um, Telegram, and on all audio podcasts through the Forbidden Knowledge Network. So I'm hoping everyone out there will watch the show and share it with their friends and their family, because the more that this good news gets out to everybody, then the sooner we can change things here on Earth for the better and have more peace and more love and have better lives. And isn't that really something we can all agree upon? So thank you so much, Samuel, for coming on the show. I hope you could come back again and share more information and insights with us. And I wish you the very, very best.
Great, thank you. And by the way, the book can also be found on Audible, and I hope to come back again and to talk more about my latest developments.
Okay, that would be really, really wonderful. Okay, so until next week, everybody, thank you for joining us. We'll see you next week on the Quantum Guide Show. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for joining me for the Quantum Guide Show. Become the change that you wish to see in the world. Subscribe to my YouTube and other channels at Karen Holton TV. Click the like button, leave me a comment, and share this podcast with your friends. Check out my website at www.KarenHoltonHealthCoach.com to see my free resources and amazing products and services. All the links will be in the description below. As part of the Forbidden Knowledge Network, you will find the Quantum Guide Show with Karen Holton and also the Aliens and Angels podcast on all audio platforms. Until next time, keep up the good work.